and welcome back to Chef DLT's kitchen. Today I'm making homemade pasta, specifically tortellini, and then a fire roasted tomato sauce. So I'm going to start with the pasta. I'm just making enough for myself, so a small portion. I'm going to take a half cup of flour, and it doesn't have to be exact because I'm going to use more flour anyway. And then an additional couple tablespoons. And then I'm gonna make a little hole in the middle. A well, and crack the egg. Whisk it a little bit. And you start to incorporate flour. Although I'm also gonna add just under a tablespoon of oil. Kind of like 3/4 tablespoon, and a 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt. That was a little bit too much. All right, and I'm gonna mix that together, incorporating flour. This is how to do it by hand. You can do it in a food processor or a mixer with a dough hook, but this feels more authentic, more Italian. And no, I get the question all the time, I'm not Italian. My last name is Spanish. But I love Italians. Shout out to Gabriele, my best Italian friend in Milan. And this time last year, I was in Milan right before COVID hit. So, RIP. Okay, so as you can see, I started with a ton of flour and it kind of looked like how on earth was that all going to be incorporated, but the more you need, the more the dough moistens, and you just have to keep kneading. So this is after about 10 minutes of kneading, and the dough is pretty much ready to rest. Now, I've read a lot about the right pasta recipe, and there's no perfect pasta recipe. It just depends on what kind of noodles or pasta you want. You can use semolina flour, which has higher protein and sticks to sauces better. You can use 00 or 00 flour, which is finer and will create silkier pasta, or you can just use all-purpose, which is what I'm using now because I was too tired to go get semolina flour last night. So you also, some recipes don't call for oil or call for water. I chose to use moisture from the eggs. Other recipes call for more yolks for more protein, and that'll also give you a more yellow dough. So you can kind of play around with it, but I used this recipe in the past and it was good, and so that's why I'm doing it again. Although last time I did not have a pasta machine maker, so I rolled it out by hand, and that was quite the workout. This time, thanks to my sister, I do have a pasta machine, and after a half hour of resting, I will pull that out and show you how to make the dough rolled out. Okay, next I'm starting the tomato sauce. I just have a couple Roma tomatoes. I'm gonna slice in half and put on a sheet pan. Then I'm gonna broil them. I'm gonna put them face down. I'll show you. Drizzle a bit of olive oil. And then, that was kind of a lot. Sprinkle with some sea salt again. And broil for probably about 20 minutes so that they're soft. And then I'll pull out the torch and roast the skin even more. So actually, I took these tomatoes out a tad early because they were already broiling pretty well. So it probably was only like 12 minutes. But then, the fun part, thanks to my roommate for giving me a torch for Christmas, I'm going to torch these. Get ready. I get so excited. and you just fire roast them until they char a little bit. You gotta see this. Oopsie, sorry. Okay, ready? Looks pretty good to me. Okay, so now to make the sauce, I'm gonna put the tomatoes into a food processor. Just boop, 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 with the juice. And then I have some fresh oregano, thyme, and rosemary, and I'm gonna dump that in as well. And then some heavy cream. Just a dash. I'm gonna blend that. Nice and creamy. Okay, now for the fun part. Here's my KitchenAid, and the pasta attachment, and my dough has rested, and so I'm just gonna flatten it somewhat, stretch it a little bit, and I'm gonna run it through this thing. So I have it on the thickest setting. Do it again. And one more time. And you can do what you call laminating. Actually, yeah, I'll do it now. I'm gonna fold it together and then over again, flatten it a little bit. And this makes the edges smooth and straight. Ta-da! All right, I have my sheets of pasta and I simply cut them so I could lay them all out. And then I have a 2-inch cookie cutter that I'm just gonna flour a little bit and cut out little circles to make tortellini. Okay, now for tortellini making. I finished making all of my circles. Look at these beautiful little discs. And I have them very lightly floured so they don't stick together. So I can just dish them out. And to make tortellini, I first of all have ricotta. That's gonna be my main filling. And I cut up some fresh oregano, again, and thyme, my favorite herb. And then I'm gonna throw a dash of nutmeg because that, I don't know, it just really goes well with ricotta in pasta. Mix that together and take a disc. Hold on. Starting to stick together. Okay, so also brilliant idea. I had some leftover pepperoni for making a pizza. Why not put some pepperoni into a tortellini? I just cut them up into little like squares. I'm gonna put that in the middle, kind of to one side, so you can see. I'm gonna take the tiniest bit of ricotta, probably like quarter teaspoon, put it in the middle, and then I have a bowl of water here. So I just dap my finger in the water, go around the rim, and fold it over into half so it looks like a little taco, and seal the edges. Okay, So now that I have it sealed, I'm going to kind of bring the edges together and curl them over one another and seal again. So there's my tiny little tortellini. And you just repeat that for as many discs as you have. Okay, we're nearing the end. I have my bowl of tortellini. That was really bright light. And this recipe made just about 5 dozen. So I have my pot of boiling water, salted, and I'm just gonna go ahead and dump it in because it doesn't have to be roaring boiling, believe it or not. And it's gonna cook really fast. I'm gonna stir. And it'll be done in about 90 seconds or so. All right, so some are starting to float, which means they're pretty much done. And I'm just draining them and taking them out. Woohoo! Glad you got to see that. Then I have the sauce warming up, and it's just about hot. So it goes into the tortellini. Oh yeah, creamy and beautiful. Okay, last but not least, I have some, this is actually Asiago rosemary cheese. But you can do Parmesan, you can do whatever, freshly grated on top. And voila, you've got dinner, homemade. I forgot to taste this while on camera for you to see, but I finished it already.